And speaking of spiritual battles, let's just touch on Israel versus Hamas for a minute, because I think that I mean, there's a million things to say, but I think about what the Hamas terrorists did on October 7th and what they did intentionally. And we're dealing with a death cult where the citizens of this cult, and many, as we know, they're slaves, and they're also in our heart, and we pray for them and we care about the Palestinians. But we cannot deny that what's happening there is a cult, and it's a death cult. And many of the citizens of this cult celebrate not only when they kill Jews and Jewish children, but they celebrate when they kill their own children. And we think about the fact that even in the negotiations, how one Jewish life is worth 200 lives of the terrorists. Even that paradigm there shows that one civilization cares about human life. And we see that in even how the Israelis conduct the war, in which they sacrifice their own boys and girls to try to avoid Palestinian casualties. And we look at the other side, where they're intentionally trying to kill as many people as they can. It's just crystal clear what side is good and what side is bad. But we live in a world where so many demonstrations around the world are cheering on Hamas. It's a sign of our evil times, isn't it?
It is, and Isaiah speaks to this. The Bible speaks to this generally. That woe to them who call evil good and good evil, and we see it in this conflict. We see it all around us now, where every form of evil is celebrated, regardless of how depraved. In fact, the more depraved, the better, right? From their perspective, and everything that is good is demonized. Marriage is demonized. Family is demonized. Judaism is demonized. Christianity is demonized. America is demonized. It's truly a sign of the times when you have evil being celebrated all over the world. There, you have evil celebrated at the United Nations openly. Right? It's like you would think they'd at least have some shame. They'd at least have some decency to keep their celebrations behind closed doors. At this point, they don't even care who knows it. They're very proud of this. It's terribly sad. It's horrific. And we need to keep all of these in prayer. The enemy loves war. The enemy loves to see human beings destroyed and murdered and raped. And it's so sad. You don't even know what to say. And I would warn Americans, that's not just something over there, right? That's something that will be coming here soon if we're not careful. We've got the border wide open. We've got over 10 million people have come across that border just since Joe Biden was sworn into office. The same forces that were willing to massacre innocent women and children on October 7th are in our borders now. In fact, they were in our borders even before Joe Biden opened the border wide and basically invited the world to come in. You add to the mix special operators from the People's Liberation Army in communist China. You add to the mix forces from Iran. You add Venezuelan militia. You add Cuban intelligence operatives, all of them coming here for the purpose of doing us harm. And you realize we are going to be experiencing maybe the same, maybe worse
Yes.
in the not too distant future if we're not very, very careful here. And at that point, you would hope maybe some of these college kids might grow up and come to their senses. But even then, we have gotten, unfortunately, so confused as a society through the indoctrination, through the dumbing down, through the fake media that it is now considered normal to call evil good and good evil, and people who stand against that are called bad names and they're hated, as you pointed out, right? They hated Jesus first; they will hate us too, and that's really what we should expect. Again, Americans have gotten used to being comfortable because of hundreds of years of living in a country that was founded on biblical principles. But those days may be coming to a close. And watch the Middle East if you want a taste of what may be coming our way if we're not careful here.